Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, Lexington Coffee Shop is coming back. Learn more about the business changes. Then, hear about the Lexington Fire Department's plans for a new alert system. After that, the death of a 2-month-old prompts advocates to warn about the dangers of parental drug abuse.
And then there was the meth pipe and then the baby's pacifier. And that kind of cross-contamination, it's just deadly for children.
And later in the newscast, learn how two sisters handle playing two sports. All that and more coming up next on the Rockbridge Report.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news from Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Cammie Knott.
And I'm Gabe Ketchum.
The former Lexington Coffee Shop will be reopening under a new owner as Lexco Coffees. I spoke with our reporter Emily Scaff earlier and asked her about what happened to Lexington Coffee Shop.
Well, the coffee shop closed down at the end of February. It was sold to new owners. The new owners are John and Karen Landis, and the building is currently closed down for renovations, so Lexco is currently closed until further notice.
So what's next then for the coffee shop?
Well, luckily, Rachel Rooney, the former manager of Lexington Coffee Shop, is stepping into the role of owner. So instead of Lexington Coffee Shop, the coffee shop will be reopening as Lexco Coffees. Curator Interiors, a local design company, will be working with the new owners of the building and Rachel Rooney, the owner of Lexco Coffees, to finish renovations.
And how do regular customers feel about the change?
Well, regular customers were surprised by the abrupt closure of Lexco. They said that the managers and there was a little communication to when the closure would be happening. But I've talked to Meredith Benincasa, the owner of Pronto Cafe, who said that Pronto has seen many more customers in Pronto on Sundays, since now they are the only coffee shop in downtown Lexington that's open on Sundays.
To learn more, read Emily Scaff's story at rockbridgereport.wlu.edu.
It's the first time in 4 months that inflation has slowed, but many economists warn that the news could be short-lived. In today's Consumer Watch, Jen Sullivan explains what these numbers all mean for your wallet.
Inflation fell for the first time in months, according to a federal report released Wednesday. The Consumer Price Index measures price changes for a variety of goods and services.
This month was really the first progress we'd seen toward moving inflation down closer to that 2%.
Greg McBride with Bankrate says the Federal Reserve wants to see inflation closer to 2% before dropping interest rates. And according to this latest report, inflation is at 2.8% for 12 months ending in February. But McBride warns this good news could be short-lived.
With tariffs looming, that adds an upside risk to inflation in the months ahead.
President Donald Trump announced tariffs on imports from 3 of America's largest trade partners, China, Canada, and Mexico, as well as 25% taxes on all steel and aluminum imports. And Wednesday, Canada announcing retaliatory tariffs of 25% on billions of dollars worth of American goods.
It's not just the imported items that are susceptible to price increases. Domestic producers, if they're facing less price competition from foreign competitors, they're likely to boost their prices too.
All of this comes as the cost of living is already high for many Americans. And this latest report shows shelter prices, which measures housing costs, went up 0.3% last month.
The pressure on household budgets has been really unrelenting.
Overall, food prices went up 0.2%. Egg prices shot up 10.4% in February, the biggest jump. Prices also up for beef and meats, poultry, fish, as well as cereal and bakery products. The good news is gas prices dipped 1% last month. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
The White House withdrew the nomination for a former Florida congressman to lead the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The Republican-controlled Senate announced David Weldon's nomination hearing is canceled. Weldon is known for his closely aligned views with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is one of the nation's leading anti-vaccine activists.
More renovations may be coming to Rockbridge County High School. Starting in the 2026 to 2027 school year, the school is planning for major upgrades. The Rockbridge Report's Emmy Amison is live at the high school. Emmy, can you tell us more about the projects?
Yeah, Gabe, the school is requesting $1.7 million from the city Lexington for the projects. One project would involve adding a second gym for physical education classes and winter team practices. Other proposed projects include a new concession stand, bathrooms, and other improvements. From the Rockbridge Report, I'm Emmy Amison. Back to you in the studio, Gabe.
Thanks, Emmy. To learn more about the projects, read Emmy's story at rockbridgereport.wlu.edu.
Advocates are pointing to a recent case involving the death of a 2-month-old baby as an example of the tragic dangers of parental drug use. 2 Rockbridge County people have pleaded guilty to child neglect and drug charges in the case. The Rockbridge Report's Erica Kenny explores the issue.
On November 23, 2023, a 2-month-old baby was brought to Rockbridge Community Hospital. An autopsy report found that the baby had suffocated in its sleep after rolling onto a blanket. Julia Elizabeth Hostetter and her boyfriend, Cameron Carper, were charged with manslaughter and child neglect after her baby, Holton Hostetter, died. Prosecutors say that unsafe sleep was only one aspect of the case.
Unfortunately, addiction's a one-way street. You're only focused on yourself, so you're not paying attention to what you're putting your family, friends, loved ones, kids, anything like that through.
According to court documents, 18 days after the baby died, methamphetamine was found in the bloodstreams of both Hostetter and Carper. Experts recommend that babies sleep with nothing but a fitted sheet and a firm mattress. However, prosecutors say that Hostetter and Carper ignored these guidelines and that drugs were an aggravating factor.
And then there was the meth pipe and then the baby's pacifier. And that kind of cross-contamination, it's just deadly for children.
Michelle Watkins sits on the Rockbridge County Board of Social Services and has founded juvenile drug courts in states such as Arizona. Watkins says that parental drug use can put children in danger.
If there are substances being used by adults, for example, or other family members, there's an increased risk for the child to be using them simply because they're available, and that can be fatal.
County officials are working to help parents with substance use disorders and their families.
There are a number of children's programs, family programs that social services is working with to try and direct children on a healthier path. Also the families, working with the families.
Sentencing hearings for Hostetter and Carper are scheduled for this April. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Erica Kenny.
Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, learn about the future of the Department of Education.
That's bad news for any American who cares about education for disabled children, about higher education, about a skilled workforce.
And then, more parts of Rockbridge County could be getting high-speed internet. Learn more about the funding and construction coming up.
And right after the break, hear about the Lexington Fire Department's plan for a new alert system. Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. Rockbridge County is looking to expand broadband access with help from state funding and a partnership with internet provider Brightspeed. The county has dedicated nearly $1.8 million in matching funds to support the project, which would bring high-speed internet to underserved areas. Construction is expected to begin later this year. To learn more, visit Carmen Bunker's story at rockbridgereport.wlu.edu.
The Lexington Fire Department wants to upgrade its station alert system to improve response times. The department is asking the Lexington City Council to include the nearly $219,000 project in next year's budget. The Rockbridge Report's Jordan Hoover reports.
The current system is an analog radio that alerts the firehouse of calls from the Rockbridge Regional Dispatch Center. Lexington Fire Lieutenant Jonathan Bowden says it was installed in 2006 by volunteers and is very outdated.
Some of the stuff was purchased at Radio Shack.
The department is looking to upgrade to a digital system that will have a backup radio, clearer audio, and better security. It would also be able to receive calls from farther away. Bowden says the current system is unreliable due to its age, and there is no backup system. If it were to go down, the station would have to rely on only handheld radios.
We've had a few calls for service that had delayed response due to the alerting system failing to go off. Luckily, there was not a negative outcome.
He also says the station faces problems with its loudness and clarity of calls. To address this, they now use pagers. David Hoback is the Roanoke Fire EMS chief. He says that his station has had a digital alerting system since 2004.
We saw as much as a 30 to 45-second quicker reaction time from the time the tunes dropped to the time the individuals were in the truck going to the call.
The Roanoke Dispatch Center manager says a digital alert system has reduced the chances of miscommunication and human error. The new system will also benefit the firefighters' cardiovascular health. In the U.S., around 45% of firefighters' on-duty deaths are related to heart attacks. The new system will have alert tones that progressively get louder to naturally wake up firefighters when they are asleep. Lexington City Manager Tom Carroll says he is confident the City Council will approve their request.
Based on the discussion that they had on the 13th, I think that's likely to be included in the finally adopted budget.
The Lexington City Council will vote on next year's annual budget in May. For the Rockbridge Report, I am Jonah Hoover.
Buena Vista could soon see its largest new housing development in years. A developer is planning 22 townhouses along Magnolia Avenue, but the project needs council approval to move forward. Supporters say it would help address the local housing shortage, while some residents worry about the possible traffic congestion. The plan has gotten the green light from the Planning Commission. Now, City Council will make the final call. To learn more, read John Little's story at rockbridgereport.wlu.edu.
Hundreds of employees at the U.S. Education Department will be out of a job soon. It could be the first step towards eliminating the agency altogether, a move previously proposed by President Donald Trump. Reporter Michael Yoshida breaks down who the cuts will impact.
The U.S. Department of Education cutting nearly 50% of its workforce. The layoffs, which started Tuesday evening, combined with those who already took voluntary so-called buyouts, will cut the department's headcount to nearly 2,200 employees. Education Secretary Linda McMahon saying this on Fox News when asked about the cuts.
Because that was the president's mandate, this directive to me, clearly is to shut down the Department of Education.
The move drawing swift criticism from Democrats.
That's bad news for any American who cares about education for disabled children, about higher education, about a skilled workforce.
Fully eliminating the department would require Congress to act.
Oftentimes what's concocted in Washington, D.C. when it goes out to Montana doesn't exactly fit. So in a lot of cases, the states are better for administering the programs.
The Department of Education was created in 1979 to strengthen the federal commitment to ensuring access to equal education opportunities for every individual. The department has been responsible for things such as federal civil rights enforcement, student loans, and oversight of student disability rights. Senior officials say job cuts will not impact federal student aid, quote, in any way, shape, or form. Still, experts question whether the agency's duties can effectively be carried out with a diminished or even eliminated department.
They're not just federal budget line items. These impact real humans here.
In Washington, Michael Yoshida reporting.
Up on the Rockbridge Report. The sun is out and the spring sports season is in full swing.
Generals. Pass it with Newman and Robert Bath. And that's Hillis Burns, able to get that shot away.
Good evening, I'm Simone Schwartz with the Rockbridge Report. We have been enjoying some gorgeous weather recently, and I'll have more on the upcoming week in my forecast later.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report.
Make sure to look up at the sky tonight because a total lunar eclipse is on the horizon. Maribel Gonzalez is at the Griffith Observatory in Los Angeles to tell us what makes this phenomenon so unique and what you can expect to see.
This total lunar eclipse is also known as a blood moon, and experts say we can witness this about every 1 to 2 years. But tonight, weather permitting, every one of us here in the western part of the world will be able to see this firsthand.
It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's a total lunar eclipse, a rare event when the moon passes within the darkest part of Earth's shadow.
It doesn't happen that often because the moon actually orbits slightly above and below the Earth's shadow most of the time. But every couple of years, it punches through that shadow.
And that time is here. Thursday night, millions of people across the country will be able to witness this moon marvel beginning just before midnight Eastern Daylight Time, according to NASA.
You know, Gabe, I don't know about you, but I have been soaking up so much sun over the last 3 or 4 days. It has been so great for me.
Well, it's not just you, Cammie. I've seen everyone, a lot of people taking their afternoon activities outside. Simone, can we expect this weather to continue?
Yeah, I mean, the weather's done a complete 180, it seems, but we do see some promising conditions for the week ahead. Here is our local live shot of Lexington, and it's just a gorgeous day out. And now, as we can see in our radar, we also have some nice and sunny conditions. And for our current conditions today, we have a high of 70 degrees and a low of 42, with a barometric pressure of 29.92 inches, wind speed of 3 miles per hour, and humidity of 38%. And here's our radar, and we can see that conditions are pretty sunny with few clouds across the region. And now as we head into our regional conditions here, in Covington and Roanoke, super nice out with Covington at 75 and Roanoke at 72. A bit cooler in Lexington and Buena Vista with temperature at 65 degrees. And then as we head in to Charlottesville, conditions are a bit cooler at 57 degrees. And then Staunton and Lynchburg are still in that high 60 range. And now, as we head into our 5-day forecast, we can see that Friday conditions are expected to be sunny and 67 degrees, although Saturday, while it is 70 degrees for the high, we are expecting some rain later in the afternoon. And same with Sunday, showers are expected with a low of 41. But then as we get into next week, Monday we have sunny temperatures with a high of 59 degrees and a low of 36. And then Tuesday is back to that gorgeous weather we've been experiencing today with a high of 71 and a low of 44. So even though we do have some rain this weekend, temperatures are expected to continue in the sunny range. And I'll give it back to you, Cammie and Gabe.
And coming up on the Rockbridge Report, a heroic 3-year-old faces his fear of the dark for his great-grandmother.
And then, coming up late after the break, 2 sisters, 2 sports. See how the Zimmerman sisters managed to be dual sport athletes.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report.
Well, I'll tell you, it's not just us, Cammie, who's enjoying the warm weather and spending a lot of time outside, right? Our spring sports athletes are in full competition mode.
I know, and I, for one, am really excited to catch a meet or two for the Generals track and field team as they head outside. What about you, Catherine?
I mean, it's just the best weather to watch spring sports.
Being a student athlete is already tough, but playing 2 sports is even harder. 2 W&L sisters tackle the dual sport lifestyle together. The Rockbridge Report's Mackenzie Kane has the story.
Junior Sarah Zimmerman is one of Washington and Lee's few dual sport athletes.
When I get here in August, I'm on the soccer team, and I'm on the soccer team until our season's over, and then I'm on the basketball team until basketball's over.
She had to sit out the first 6 basketball games of the season due to soccer's postseason run. But Sarah still rejoined her teammates with a smile.
I mean, I hope to miss a lot of basketball games because I want to have a really great soccer season. So in the moment, I'm normally just happy to be playing soccer still, but it definitely is a little bit of a transition, feeling a little behind.
But this year, Sarah didn't go through the transition alone. Her freshman sister, Megan, joined her.
It was definitely hard at first, especially I feel like coming into basketball not really knowing anybody. I think that was honestly probably the hardest, but I obviously had Sarah there for me, and she just led the way and was a great role model and just prepared me very well for the transition.
Both Zimmerman sisters made first-team All-State in soccer. Megan was the Virginia Rookie of the Year. And now, the 2 finished the basketball season with a 25-5 record, helping the Generals to their 3rd consecutive NCAA tournament appearance.
I mean, there's definitely moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? But I have had such an incredible experience being able to do both of them, and like the hard moments are tough and you do have to miss out on a lot of things, and we're like never home because we're here for every single break, but it's so worth it. Being able to be a part of teams is something I try not to take for granted, and if you play on a sports team, like I think you know that.
Reporting in Lexington, Mackenzie Kane, Rockbridge Report.
For the first time this year, the Zimmerman sisters are not in-season athletes. They finished up their basketball season last weekend. The Generals made it to the second round of the NCAA Division III championship. The team barely fell to number 7 Baldwin-Wallace University 75-71. The sun is out, which means winter sports are coming to an end and the spring season is in full swing. Track and field is finishing up its indoor season to head outside. 4 female track and field athletes are heading to New York this weekend to compete in the NCAA National Championship. Men's tennis traveled to North Carolina last weekend and brought home a win. The Generals beat Guilford College 6-1. Other than men's tennis, the Generals have seen a series of losses this week. Women's lacrosse, ranked number 8, fell to number 16 York College 12-5. And men's lacrosse had a 16-13 loss against number 10 Gettysburg College. Both lacrosse teams will have an opportunity for redemption this weekend. VMI baseball has been hard at work this week hosting Stonehill College. The Keydets lost 23-19 to Stonehill College Tuesday, but rebounded quickly with an 11-4 win Wednesday. SVU men's volleyball is yet to lose a match, but has also not dropped a set. The Knights demolished St. Andrews University Saturday and will play again tomorrow at Juniata College. That's all for sports. Back to you, Gabe.
Thank you, Catherine. A Colorado toddler was tested against his fear of the dark, but he was brave enough to help his great-grandmother after she had a serious fall. Janelle Finch introduces us to this little hero.
3-year-olds,
Hey here, buddy.
don't always follow directions.
Bridger, what'd I tell you? Come here.
3-year-olds will sometimes do what they shouldn't.
Bridger, don't put him in the grass.
But when 3-year-old Bridger Peabody needed to listen most, he did. If Bridger wasn't there,
I don't know what I would have done.
Sharon Lewis is Bridger's great-grandma.
Gigi!
His Gigi.
Grandma! Bridger, come over here, honey.
One night in February, Bridger's sister needed to get treatment at Children's Hospital. So while his family stayed with his sister, Gigi offered to take Bridger home.
And we went up to the backyard, dark backyard, and then we got up to the door where I was going to get the keys out.
She had her walker, and she fell.
And when I fell, I hit the corner of the cement step.
She bumped her head, and then it popped open.
Sharon says she couldn't get up or call for help. Her phone was still in the car.
And I said, you know what? You're going to have to go out to the car and get my phone.
I was scared outside in the really dark.
But Bridger did brave the really dark.
And he yells, I got it, Gigi.
Yes, I did it.
Sharon was able to call other family to get her an ambulance.
But she's all better.
Bridger wouldn't call himself a big kid.
I know. But when I grew up like a big kid, I can help Gigi.
You see him?
When it comes to 3-year-olds,
you're Gigi's hero.
Bridger is in a league of his own.
He's just a blessing.
That's all for the Rockbridge Report.
Thanks for watching.